All right. If you're a fish larvae, you've just born into this new world, and the only thing on your mind right now is surviving long enough to find that prime settlement habitat and spending the rest of your settlement period there. But the thing is, not all fish hatch into have the same chances in life, and your survival may well depend on the environment that you're born into. If the water tastes like crap and those beautiful beach houses look a little bit decrepit, well, you've got to start asking yourself, should I really stick around? You know your mum and dad obviously did pretty well here. They had several hundreds of thousands of beautiful babies. But, sorry. But should you really stay and follow in the footsteps of your parents? Or should you seize that opportunity and go out into the blue yonder and find that reef that beckons hope in the GBR? Well, if you do, I know some of you won't be able to resist that life of adventure, but if you do choose that path, then I can't guarantee that you're all going to make it. That gully can be tens of kilometers wide or hundreds of kilometers wide, and who knows what's lurking out there. We know from several studies in the Great Barrier Reef that larval fish do tend to stay close to home. From the original case study in Lizard Island to our most recent work in the Keppel Islands that Gary presented earlier, we consistently see very high levels of self-recruitment, with anywhere between 15 to 60% of juvenile fish that are recruited to these islands having dispersed no more than 30 kilometers. But this also means that a great number of fish are also coming from further afield. Obviously, to identify these long-distance dispersal events, we need to scale up from a single island group. But that, unfortunately, comes with its challenges. Now, we've been lucky enough to partner with Kurumba, Ames, and Kaust in Saudi Arabia to up the ante and investigate larval dispersal at a scale that we never even thought was possible. So we took what we did in the Keppel Islands and we repeated it and we replicated it in 2 other reef systems, sampling 1,500 adult fish and 1,400 juvenile fish of 2 species of coral trout, the Plectropomus leopardus and Plectropomus maculatus that we've heard a lot about. Our sampling was fairly representative of the relative abundance of the 2 species in the different regions. So, for example, in the Keppels, we very rarely see a leopardus, and that's why most of our sample is maculatus. And then we used 25 microsatellite markers to, first of all, identify the reef fish that we were identified or discriminate the 2 species and identify parent-offspring relationships in our sample with unprecedented accuracy. We have never done it this well. And what we found was absolutely astounding. Not only were we observing self-recruitment in each of these regions, we also found fish that settle at fish that are no more than 2 centimeters when they settle, having moved between each of these regions. Overall, we identified 69 juvenile maculatus and 17 juvenile leopardus that dispersed anywhere between 200 meters and 250 kilometers, making this the longest known dispersal of any coral reef fish. Now, there is some very clear evidence that we are losing key habitats in the GBR, and we know that the abundance of fish, including fishery species such as coral trout, is tightly linked to the health of reef ecosystems. And so yes, this means that populations that have suffered from disturbances can be replenished from distant populations. But it also means that what we think as local and isolated disturbances may have a far greater impact than we previously thought. Luckily, and perhaps not too surprisingly, our management system that includes well-spaced and well-distributed no-take areas is punching well above its weight and maybe having a far greater influence on the health of reef ecosystems than we can give it credit. Now, this is very much a team effort led by Jeff Jones and many other players. I know I'm probably forgetting a few here, but I was quickly trying to go through the list yesterday. And also I'd like to thank our partners in this, the Gurumpa, Ames, and KAUST, and acknowledge funding from the NERP program and the ARC linkage. Thank you very much.